Hey there, this is my Samsung NX1 and Canon 5D Mark II comparison video. I mainly wanted to compare the two because I currently own both cameras, and I wanted to see how the NX1 compares, if it's better, if it's worse in any regards, and what that might look like. Now, the Samsung NX1 is capable of recording in 4K DCI. I am recording in Ultra HD just to maintain a comparable aspect ratio, and framing as well, because I believe full 4K crops in a little bit. So currently I'm using a 50mm lens on my 5D Mark II, which has a full frame sensor, and I'm using a 35mm lens on my Samsung NX1. These lens choices are pretty comparable, given that the Samsung NX1 has a super 35mm crop sensor. Both lenses are recording at f2, ISO 100. I believe the audio on this is pretty bad, but I wanted to give that a test as well. So this is running through a tram microphone to my NX1 to give that a test. My lighting setup, I wanted to do something similar to what you would see in the show House of Cards. So, you know, kind of a white luminance off the ceiling and yellows in the background, with kind of a neutral midtone. I also wore this shirt to see if there's any moire on the NX1, because it is 4K and it's a pretty sharp camera, so wanted to see how they compared. So this is ISO 100. Alright, I bumped both cameras up to ISO 160. So this is ISO 160. Alright, this is ISO 400 on both cameras. At this point, the image is probably overexposed, so I'm going to bring down my key light, and then we can kind of take a look at what the low light on this camera looks like. So it's ISO 400. Alright, we're still at ISO 400. My key light is almost off, but the light in the background is probably at this point still overexposed. So we're going to keep it there. I'm going to turn down my key light a little bit more, and we're going to see where it takes us. Alright, so I bumped us up completely to ISO 800. So right now this is at ISO 800. The light in the background is probably way overexposed. I might be exposed, I might be underexposed. I'm not sure if it's getting grainy right now, but we'll take a look at that. What I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to turn off the light in the background, and then we're going to see how these cameras hold up in extreme low light. Okay, so we're currently still at ISO 800. There is nothing but ambient light. There's a little bit of crack in the curtains there, providing light, and then there's some light coming from the other room, and this is ISO 800. Let's take a look at ISO 1600. Alright, this is ISO 1600. We have very little light. Let's see how this holds up. Now I'm going to pull out my cell phone, see how the shot exposes with a little bit of cell phone light. I'll just look at my text there. Okay, we're at ISO 3200, very little ambient light. I would assume at this point the image is breaking apart. I think the Samsung NX1 is actually more exposed than the 5D Mark II right now. I should add that the picture profiles are as similar as I could get them. I bumped the master pedestal control on the Samsung NX1 up all the way. The 5D Mark II has minimal contrast, minimal sharpness. I'm using the Cinestyle setting because I know that's kind of the most common setting that people are using for wide dynamic range. The Samsung NX1, I'm using the dynamic range mode. I turned down the sharpness to, I believe, -4. The contrast is down all the way, I believe, and the saturation is at -2. Those are my settings. Okay, let's see how this looks.